Hi, I'm Brian, Service Manager at Whole Latte Love, and today I'm going to show you how to drain the boilers on a Rocket Espresso heat exchanger machine.
We're showing on an Appartamento here, but this would work on any rocket heat exchange machine, like a Mozzafiato or a Giotto.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Same process. So,
All right.
all right. So the first thing that we're going to discuss is there's different reasons, different issues that may be happening that result in you actually having to drain your boiler. You may be just flushing it for storage, for shipping, something like that. So there's one process you're going to follow for that. Or let's say there's something wrong with your machine. It won't heat up or you're getting no power. So I'll show you how to be able to drain the machine in that scenario as well.
Okay.
So since the machine is on and fully heated up right now, I will show you that method first.
And
so
you don't have to have the cover off, the outer housing, but we have that so we can show you some things.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Just gives you a good perspective of what's going on in there. So
All right.
no need to take anything off. The only thing that you're going to end up doing is removing your reservoir. So first thing that we're going to do is drain the heat exchanger first. You always want to drain from here first because otherwise you're going to be fighting the flow of water trying to refill the steam boiler while trying to empty that. It doesn't work. So start here. First thing we're going to do is remove our reservoir.
And just so people are clear, there's like an isolated section for the brew water inside this boiler, so it's kind of two separate processes. Right?
Exactly, yep. So there's a little cylinder that runs through the boiler right down that way. And it's, yes, as you said, isolated from the main boiler, so that's why you have to empty them separately.
Okay.
So what we got to do here is trick out our reservoir sensor so that we can actually maintain flow through the system, maintain pressure, pushing as much out as we can. So what we got to do is normally you would have your reservoir insert in here, which is metal and is grounded. Now the way that this system works is it's got some sort of conductivity in this form, minerals in the water, that create a circuit between this little metal part in the middle here and this brass screw.
Okay.
So if I were to run water out of that below that brass screw, then everything's going to kick off and we're not going to get any more pressure. So what we need to do is make it think that it still has pressure in there. And the easiest way to do this is to go from the brass screw to anything ground, which, as I said before, is going to be your reservoir holder. That's why I use this Allen wrench, because it works well for getting that little extra angle and touching right up against the wall in there.
Okay.
So right now, just so that, since I obviously don't have that in there, but I want you to be able to see, I'm going to touch from the brass screw to that center piece right there.
Okay.
Okay?
You're down in there, yep. Gotcha.
So all I'm going to do is make sure I'm still on there, lift the lever, and let the water start running. And you'll hear that little So that's how we know it's below the screw there. You're going to have water continuing to cycle through from your deaerator and your OPV and everything in there. So it's never going to get all of that completely dry. But I just like to go for about 15 seconds or so, and then you can take your probe off and you'll get a little bit of dribble still coming out, but that's about as low as you're going to be able to get it from this method.
Okay.
If you wanted to drain it as much as you possibly can, and this is the same way that you would do it if you had no power, would be to remove your mushroom valve.
That big nut there.
Yep, this big nut right here. This is something that you would not want to do with the machine heated up. Wait for it to be nice and cold, because if you've ever put your hand on here, you know it gets really hot. So you don't want to mess with it when it's really hot. Also, when it's hot, it does have pressure in there. So when you start taking this off, it'll start spraying hot water out at you. So definitely wait for it to be nice and cool. But so for the sake of, we're just trying to get this ready to go into storage for a brief period of time, or just a general flush of the system, that's going to be fine. So
take out that mushroom, though, if you want to get it drier, and turn it kind of upside down almost.
Yes,
Pretty close.
Yeah. So that'd be the process, is just take that mushroom valve off, and then you're going to take it over to the sink and just tilt it over the sink. That way the water will just all follow gravity right on out.
Okay.
So now that we have that as empty as we're going to make it right now, we need to empty the steam boiler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trick my sensor back out again just to make sure that I have full heat. I want to make sure that the steam boiler has as much pressure in it as I can. And you'll hear the clicking of the relays in there as it starts to heat up, and then once it heats up again, you'll hear another click. Yeah, it's just taking a little bit longer because I spent so long blabbing away.
Put more pressure in, more water out, right?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I could do it right now, but, you know, I like to try and keep as much pressure in there as I can. And also, the idea is we want the reservoir out. There's the click, so we're ready again. Okay. Reservoir out, so we're not putting more water in. And I'm also going to turn the machine off now. And then just open her up. So you can also, before you start this, if you were doing this just to flush your system, you can take that aerator off the tip of the hot water wand there. I like to do that when I'm doing a general flush, just because that way I get to see how much sediment is collecting in here. You can just take it off afterwards and see what got caught in there, but then you got to clean that out too instead of just dumping your water out. So it's probably about like 30 seconds or so to get most of that boiler drained out. We're down to a little over half a bar right now, and it'll start decreasing pretty quickly. Then once it's lost all its pressure, that's all you're going to get out of there. So that's how we're going to empty this if we are able to heat. Now let's say we have a heating issue, and that's why we're trying to get it shipped somewhere, or you're trying to drain it so you can change your heating element. There's pretty much two main reasons why you would if you have no heat. So what we're going to do in that scenario is, instead of opening up our hot water wand, we're going to open up our steam wand. Okay. So this is another reason why we have the housing off, so I can show you what I'm talking about in here. Yeah. So what we would do is drag it over to the sink, machine unplugged, off, all that stuff. Make sure you take your drip tray off, especially if you got water in it. And with your steam valve open, you'll see this is follow the steam valve back to here. This one, you're going to have to get pretty close to upside down for this trick, just because of where it comes off on this T. Some machines, it comes off like right at the edge of the boiler here, and it's a little bit easier to do.
Don't have to go so far.
Yeah, exactly. But what you're going to do is you're going to tip it over the sink, and then usually you're going to want to grab another friend to help you out here, just because you don't want to drop it into the sink. So get it as close to upside down as you can. And at that point, you're also going to want to open up your hot water wand, because otherwise, when you have it upside down, your vacuum breaker is going to close, which is going to create a vacuum in there, and you're not going to get a lot of water coming out. But with both of them open, and when you're upside down, since the hot water comes off way down here, that's how we're going to break the vacuum. So once you have both of them open and it's upside down, it's not going to come gushing out. It's it's got to go through the valve, through the small pipe, and through the smaller wand and everything. So it's going to flow slowly. Expect it to take probably about a minute and a half or so for it to get most of the water out. But that's how you get around it.
All right, Brian. Anything else we should know here about that?
I don't think so. No, I'd just say when you're done getting everything empty, rule of thumb, always make sure you close your valves again. Because the next time you heat it up,
you don't want stuff coming out.
The water starts pouring all over the place. So.
All right, Brian. Thanks for taking us through that.
Yeah, not a problem.